Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Man, I do not do many of these videos anymore, but today, my God, this is one of the most exciting videos I get to make in quite a while. Today, I am the first person to have one of these babies in hand, and I could not be more thrilled to be able to make one of these videos for you guys. So I'm going to put this out Thursday morning for you guys. So today from Latoonie, we are going to get the third installment of the Macho Man figure from the LJN style figure format. And I absolutely love what Latoonie is coming out with, okay? So any of you guys growing up in the 80s with LJN style figures, for those of us who grew up in the 90s with Hasbro style figures, Latoonie is coming out with these absolutely amazing figures. So I'm a deep supporter of what Ahmad is coming out with. And you know what? Branching off into new territory, we might see Remco style figures, we might see Galoob, and I'm absolutely loving those ideas. He's already coming out with these upgraded, 10-inch style figures. Right now, we think about Hasbro, we think about the 10-inch Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, right? The talking figures. Right now, his figures aren't talking, but who's to say that those figures won't be made in the future, right? So, at first glance, when this figure was first coming up for pre-order, I was confused with it. Only because I didn't know anything about the backstory of this particular release. And I think many people with, kind of had my same mindset, right? What is the backstory of this particular figure? What is the reference? And I think with the right reference, a lot of us would be a little bit more appreciative. I think the same thing with this particular Macho Man. A lot of folks may not understand what was going on with this particular color scheme. Why? Because when people think about Macho Man, they think about Macho Man in green trunks with stars, orange with stars, right? With pink with stars. So this right here is a very familiar Macho Man. So when you did get the Macho Man with white and black, or the white and silver, what was that reference? Think 1989 Macho Man. Think of Hulk Hogan teaming up with Brutus Beefcake in his matchup against Zeus and Macho Man. Once you understand that reference in this color scheme, outstanding, mind blown, and this color scheme is perfect. And for those fans who did not get a Macho Man on LJN / Grand Toys Black Card, getting this particular figure on a black card background, perfect marketing. I absolutely love that Ahmad from Latoonie actually came out with that. That was perfect. And of course, original figure on blue card, kind of mimicking that of the original LJN run, right? So that was fantastic. But AJ did it again. And I think getting this figure in, kind of glancing it over, to say that I was impressed would have been an understatement. I kind of messed myself up and I didn't order 2 of these figures. I don't know why I didn't order 2. So I am not going to take this particular figure off the card, but it's fine. We've already looked at, the type of figure before, and I will kind of look at these again so you guys can get a feel for what the figure looks like off card with these examples. But dare I say, I think the Macho Man Ultrasonic might very well possibly be the best figure that Latoonie has released thus far. And this is the newest release to the Latoonie roster. And it is absolutely bona fide. It's incredible. Now, everything that we are going to talk about, that we're going to hit on today, is absolutely top-notch, grade A, perfect. We're going to start with the carding of the figure. One of the things that one of the reasons I fell in love with the original San Francisco Toymaker line when I started getting into collecting a few years ago was card backs. Now, it's like, who cares about carding, right? You know, it's the actual action figure. That's what you're worried about. The aesthetics, playability, the characters. Who cares about carding? But the more and more you got into collecting, the more and more you got into the graphics and the detail, and then you realize just how important the card backs really are. And then when you kind of look at like Mattel Retros, and you kind of look at even Hasbro's, my favorite toy line, sure, but you realize how small and thin and even flimsy those Mattel Retros, as an example, how flimsy those cards are, and then you wonder why, you know, during shipment, why those bubbles are constantly falling off the cards, right? But then you think about those really solid, hard card backs like original San Francisco Toymakers. LJN has a nice, you know, thicker card back, but original San Francisco was fantastic. And this right here from Latoonie, this has got to be one of the most solid carding I've ever felt. I think you would literally need to get yourself a chainsaw to kind of cut this thing in half. I am exaggerating, of course, but this is solid, perfect carding, and these are not like over-the-top, crazy heavy figures. You know, they are solid. You know, they're not like, you know, super flimsy figures, right? The rubber is very movable, but you could sit there and bend these figures all day long. The rubber is very movable, but you could yank on them to your blue in the face. You will not tear this rubber at all. And that's what I love about these Latoonie figures. They go beautifully with your LJN figures. They are not super crazy hard like the big rubber guys. I'm not knocking, you know, Major Bendy's. Love the line, but they do not bleed in as well with the LJN originals. Random Treasures, love their figures. They are customs after all, though. But as far as licensed figures, you got Major Bendy's, you've got Latoonie. How many other licensed companies are out there? How many other companies are out there signing the talent? Whether it's the wrestler directly or if they've passed on their families. How many are donating a percentage of their sales back to the estate of the families so they're actually contributing, right? So that they're actually getting paid. And I think that's incredible. So, and I'll hit on that as well a little bit more as this video continues on. So, as far as the level of thickness of the card, which, again, one of those reasons why I fell in love with the original San Francisco line, right, was how much I love that card backing. And Latoonie with this card back, incredible. Nothing wrong with the other card backs. That you got in the past. Solid. But they are a little bit more, you know, not flimsy, but they're like I said, they're solid, but in comparison, still much thicker. It's about like you put 2 or 3 of those just to fit this. So I think that is incredible. I love this. If he sticks with this, if AJ sticks with this card back, you know, for the rest of his figures, awesome. And with Andre the Giant doing, you're gonna need a much larger carding, much heavier, much thicker bubble. Oh man, I'm excited. The graphics, you know, moving away kind of like away from the black card background, kind of moving away from your, you know, LJN style blue carding, gives you a more unique, sort of exclusive. Bubble is beautiful, clear, again sticking with the poster and poster cover, very LJN reminiscent, right? The figure. the figure is still perfect. I looked at this figure and I looked at the design and I'm like, the blue of the body. Here's the thing. I hit on it all the time. I love uniqueness. I love the randomness and uniqueness that kind of really sticks out and pops. Right? And I love that, that Ahmad, that he's an out-of-the-box thinker. He's coming up with these ideas that nobody else out there is thinking of. Nobody else on the market, whether you're thinking of, LJN style companies, any of these guys that are coming up with these Hasbro style figures, regardless, nobody else is thinking of this type of stuff. You don't see zombie sailors or grapplers and gimmicks. You don't see Mattel Retros coming out with this type of stuff. You don't see big rubber guys coming out with this type of stuff, right? So I love that he's coming up with this. Now, it's not generally a, one unique idea. I mean, the idea is out there in the world. You do see these mishmatches here and there, of course. It's not like I said, it's not an overly unique one-person idea. You do see WWE mixing with Masters of the Universe. You see WWE mixing with Ninja Turtles. You kind of see like this horror, right? Like these kind of like sort of bootleg type of deal where you have Freddy Krueger or Hellraiser and what else you got out there? Jason Voorhees, etc. Mixing with like these Remco style Master Universe type figures, right? You've got Street Fighter and you got Mortal Kombat. The Funko type figures. Kind of mixing with the Motu type of figures, right? If you are a kid who grew up watching Winnie the Pooh and you love that cartoon, but you're a horror fan, and you love the mixing of genres, would you not absolutely crave Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey as a perfect example? That is me. I love the mixing of genres. And that's why something like this is so special and unique, because it blends two different ideas. When I look at this figure, it is not just a simple run-of-the-mill Macho Man figure that everyone else in the world is coming up with. Out-of-the-box thinker, like I said. How do we take a Macho Man character and make it different from what everyone else is coming out with? When I first looked at this Macho Man figure, I'm like, one of my first instances was, oh my god, 1990s. He came up with Cyclops. Very close. It's not actually your Marvel animated Cyclops, X-Men. But I was actually very close. I was right on track in the superhero genre. So it's actually DC Universe. And this was the antifreeze Batman. So, again, you're kind of mixing Batman with wrestling, and you're mismatching genres, and I'm like, clever. So freaking clever. So when you kind of hear, what was the thought process behind the design of the figure, it makes sense. And you're not looking at the original picture when you're looking at, the website, scratching your head like, what's up with the blue Macho Man? It makes sense now when you have the backstory that goes with it. Now, one of the things that kind of, now glancing over the figure, the one thing I would have done differently, obviously, I love the yellow stars on the side of the leg, right? The way that the yellow boots are beautiful, right? But he's got the yellow stars on the side. So with the yellow boots and the yellow stars, where you can't actually see them, that is one thing I would have changed. I would have probably put like blue stars on the boots so that the stars really pop. When you kind of go back with the 89 Macho Man, kind of same thing. White stars, white boots. So you can't actually see, the white stars, they don't pop at all. So that's the only downside with this particular figure is that that little flaw, if you call it that. But here with the yellow boots, you can actually see the white stars. Like I said, I'm not going to actually take this figure off the card because there's no need to. And like I said, this is a special edition figure, right? There is going to be a new one, a new figure coming soon. We got to have Macho Man. Well, what's up with all of the Macho Man figures? The Hall of Fame edition. He sent me a picture of this one probably a week or so ago, week and a half ago. And I wanted to share this one with you guys. This card back. And I couldn't get it out to you guys though. Obviously we had to wait until this was released. But you guys know, man. You think about like Big Rubber guys, right? With the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, these guys are with the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. They are wrestlers, current wrestlers, former wrestlers. Matt Cardona and Mark Sterling and Ryan Myers, right? They're the wrestlers and they're in the business, so they have the know-how. They have a professional relationship with a lot of folks. So I think it's a lot easier for these guys to meet up with people and actually get these contracts signed so that they're able to make these molds and get these figures made. But Latoonie, he's just a regular guy like the rest of us, right? He is a fan like the rest of us. So he's just doing his diligence, getting his contacts and networking, trying to meet people and doing what he can to meet the wrestlers and trying to get them signed, or trying to get in contact with families of the wrestlers if a particular wrestler is deceased, and trying to get them signed so that he can produce their figures. And so why are there so many Macho Man figures? Well, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe Macho Man was the first wrestler, or the first family of the wrestler that he signed. So you got to obviously create the character that you actually have, legally signed, right? So there's that. That's obviously the big one. And number two, you're also talking about one of the most beloved characters, one of the most beloved wrestlers in professional wrestling history. And one of the highlights I've always talked about, there's probably three characters I always mention, Macho Man being number one, Ric Flair, the Ultimate Warrior. They've had so many different outfits, right, that I've always coveted, right? And there's just so many different looks, and you kind of have to make all those different looks. So it's nice to kind of get these different looks out there. And he's not making the exact same figure that, Big Rubber Guys is coming out with, or maybe Ram Treasure's coming out with, or the exact same figure that LJN came out with. He is making his own unique figure in comparison to those different companies. Now, if this is what Big Rubber Guys came out with, and if that's exactly what he came out with, I can understand someone having, complaints with that, but I like that he came out with his own design. And like I said, if you compare this to an original LJN, the rubber in comparison is much more much, much more comparable. It is a nice, strong rubber, but at the same time, it is very flexible. But it is not cheap rubber. You could sit there and bend this all day long. You are not going to tear the rubber. Incredible work. Overall look and design, big, thick calves and boots, just beautiful, very well done. Not only are these licensed figures, but they're affordable, okay? You're looking at about $50 a figure. Here's another thing. He's coming as the months progress, he is signing more and more characters. And he's signing characters that other people are not signing. When you get on his page right now, Inoki. Inoki is someone who is a very popular Japanese wrestler, but he's also very well known. And who else has an Inoki character? Nobody. And he's a giant. He's gonna be right up there. He's gonna match Andre the Giant in size. And oh my God, getting that guy on card is going to be incredible. We are going to get an Andre the Giant pretty soon. He is going to be very similar to Big Rubber guys. I understand that, both with paint and without face paint. Now, Big Rubber guys did beat Latoonie to market with their figure, so that's going to kind of suck for Ahmad in that particular case. But what an addition to that roster. And there are some heavy hitters with Demolition coming, with Inoki coming, Andre the Giant. Some incredible Macho Man figures still to come, to include the Hall of Fame figure. Ric Flair is still doing. Ahmad, he contacts me from time to time, and he keeps me up to date with some of the ideas that he's been coming up with. And my God, I can't share those ideas, and it kills me that I'm not able to share those ideas with you guys. But I'm telling you, man, when I'm freaking thrilled. I am so freaking excited. I'm telling you, it kills me not being able to share some of the names or some of the ideas that are coming, but it's pretty incredible. If you guys haven't gotten the opportunity, you can go on to Latoonie, and I'm pretty sure you could still order some of these guys. They're freaking incredible. Get one, get two. I'd recommend getting at least two. I mean, open up one, and but they're, like I said, they're affordable, and it's gonna be worth it. One of the things I think about when I think about Latoonie, to be honest, Hasbro or Mattel. They didn't start off as multi-billion-dollar corporations with 10,000 plus employees, right? Somebody started off in a basement or garage, until over time they grew into this mega multi-billion-dollar corporation. I am so impressed with what I've been seeing over this last year or so with Latoonie, that over the next 40 years, and yes, I do think that this company is going to grow. And I think, AJ, I think he's going to end up passing this along to his kids. And I think it is going to grow into something special. And over the years, I am really looking forward to seeing how this thing is going to progress. Because, he is a fan like the rest of us. And that's one of the reasons why I support his company. Unlike some of these other businesses, man, like you get online, like you go to these little groups and stuff, and it's like, hey, can I get a status update on my order? Or, oh, hey, this is pretty nice, but I'd recommend you doing this, or something to that effect. And the seller, and we know the companies we're talking about, let's be honest, they block you. It's either their way or the highway. Not with Latoonie. AJ, he's not like that. That's another reason I respect the man. He understands that if we as buyers do not like the product, we are not going to buy it. So, get onto these little Facebook groups and hey, this is what I like as a consumer. He will go back to the drawing board time and time again, change up the figure, change up the card backing even. How do we fix this to make these to the specifications that our customers are going to enjoy? And unlike these other companies, you're not sitting around for 8 months waiting for your figures to arrive. There's a schedule, and they hit their target schedule. He's got a YouTube channel. He makes videos to keep you guys updated. So it's pretty freaking awesome, man. I'm just impressed all around. So I got this figure in today, man. Jesus, just one last glance over, guys. I still like it as kind of like a Cyclops, X-Men Cyclops. I mean, that's what it kind of reminds me of. But the Batman antifreeze meets WWF Macho Man. I love the mismatch, right? So freaking good. All right, guys. Oh, he's also I've spoken to him about it as well. He's also creating LJN acrylic cases. So he's gonna make the hard cases, and he's also gonna make some soft cases as well. So whether you want them for these cases or if you want them for the actual LJN carding, if you have any, he's gonna start selling those in the future. So he just obviously has to get them actually made. But that is on his bucket list, and he's gonna start adding those to his shop as well. But I'm probably gonna get both because I want you can hear it. These hard cases, and these deserve to be encased and protected. And of course, like I said, I still want to get a lot of my LJN back wall as well as those up there encased if I can. But the way that those are sitting up there, I don't know if they can even fit in protective cases. In fact, shoot, man, the way that I have those shelved, I don't know if I can even get those in to fit in cases. But I'm gonna try. We're having around almost 30 minutes, so I'm gonna probably end the video here, guys. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and hopefully this was enjoyable and didn't talk your ear off too much. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you in the comments. See you next video. Take care, everybody.